Oh, what? Hey, so we're live. Hey, everybody. I'm on with my friend, longtime friend, Chris Dobbins of the great attorney, by the way, if you need representation. Seriously.
How about that? But thanks.
If you need representation, I mean, hey, call this man. Give him your business. That's what we're all about. I'm old school, Oakland. I'm about giving my friends business. I hope my friends are about giving me business too.
You're all, definitely, Jenny. We're all friends here, man, and we all love Zenny Abraham, man. That's how we roll.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, so right off the bat, I want to finish talking about what you and I started talking about on the phone, and that's, even though it's slightly off topic, we'll wind back around to it, but what about Donald Trump kicking the Eagles out of the White House and then making it look like he's going to have these huge fans there? And
yeah.
I thought that was BS. I mean, can you imagine what do we?
Yeah, it's all of us Californians, obviously we're all progressives, whatever. But I don't hate Donald Trump like everybody else does. But
no, I don't hate him.
This guy owned a football team, right? Won the USFL.
Yeah.
So he's a football fan, and it's sad that it's got to come to this. That traditionally, hey, if I ever won something and I got a chance to go to the White House, I'd go. But now teams are not choosing to go. And not to switch subjects, but everyone, the Warriors are up 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's saying the Warriors probably will end up winning, and yet there's no at all sense that they're going to go to the White House. So the fact that my understanding is that there was only like 10 players for the Eagles were going to go, and it basically was all the white players. They were going to go, and everybody else wasn't going to go. So he basically yanked the carpet under him and said, well, you guys aren't coming because you're not going to stand for the national anthem, whatever, some kind of,
and he's
probably respect, some kind of BS kind of answer, and he's basically trying to save face. So it's a sad state of affairs when teams don't want to go to see the president.
I couldn't agree more.
And vice versa, the president is going to do something enough. Can you imagine the president's done enough that he's so alienated so many people that they don't want to go? So it's kind of that's my take. It's a bad look.
Hey, what about Dwight Clark passing away?
Yeah, just horrible. Obviously, I'm 46, lifelong Raider fan, but there's a lot of guys my age, right, mid 40s, late 30s, whatever, that became Niner fans when the Raiders moved to LA the first time. So I have a lot of friends that went to Skyline with me that became Niner fans because the Raiders, yanked our, and left. And Dwight Clark, we all remember the play. Probably the most iconic play in Bay Area history.
Yep.
And there's people on the radio today talking about, well, maybe the Cal Stanford, Bandits on the field play might be the second most play, but you gotta. I mean, as a Raider fan, you have to acknowledge that Dwight, Joe Montana, Dwight Clark, that catch in the end zone was really got the Niners going. So just a really sad thing. Whenever you talk to or you listen to say that Dwight Clark was such a great person, and I never met him, but really sad when you hear somebody lose their life early. So hearts and prayers out to his family, and it's really sad.
Yeah, it is very sad. And I was in the same room as he, but didn't get a chance to get over and talk with him. And I think he had left. This was a while ago. But that aside, what I remember about Dwight Clark, as I said in my video blog, is 2 plays. First of all, actually 3 plays, really. But I first remember the Niners versus the Cowboys when the Niners came to Candlestick in 1981 after having been clobbered in Bill Walsh's first year by the Cowboys 59-14. And that was when Steve DeBerg was the quarterback. And everyone in the Bay Area said...
now you're dating yourself. You're talking about Steve DeBerg. I mean,
I'm Zenny 62.
Quarterback for Joe Montana, so wow.
Hey, I lived in the golden age.
You're not that old, brother. How are you?
Do you realize that when I was born, the term personal computer was invented and we still use it? Do you realize that when I was born, the Rolling Stones played their first concert and is still playing? Do you realize
Phenomenal.
The very heart and the very soul of modern life started when I was born, Chris Dobbins?
Well, there you go. All right. Well, that's probably true. In 1987. So good.
That's why I was born in. That's why I say I'm Zenny 62, because I'm still conversant You know, there isn't anything.
62 minus 87. Yeah, no,
but,
exactly.
You know,
yeah.
So
no,
I mean, but you know,
there
so
you go.
yeah. So, but I mean, everyone says hello. John Mark says hello. Barry says hello. John Mark has a question. It's a question for Chris Dobbins.
Yeah.
He says, how would you feel about the possibility of an NFL expansion team in Oakland?
Oh, I mean, come on, John. That's very nice of him to say that. I mean, we would love to have an expansion team in Oakland. You know, the Raiders. You know, we're trying to final up a deal to keep them 2 more years in addition to this year, so 3 more years. But our leader, quote unquote, I guess, well, leader's not the right way to say it, but, you know, Scott McKibben, who runs the Joint Powers Authority, his angle is it would be easier to get an existing team to move as opposed to an expansion team. So the 2 teams he mentioned were, you know, the Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, again, as an Oakland guy, we want the Raiders to stay. You know, the city still, you know, you and I talked offline earlier today, you know, the city still hasn't 100% jumped on board with joining this lawsuit to try to, you know, keep the team names, but I don't see that being successful. I don't see us, you know, being able to keep the Raiders name and logo. So, you know, if we can get an expansion team, of course. But I think it actually is more likely we would get an existing team, and you know, that means we got to steal somebody else's team. So there's a lot of mixed emotions with that.
Regarding the lawsuit, I can't say who I talked to about this, but they're very high level.
Sure.
What about just money? Because they technically owe us twice. 2 relocation fees. The one when they left for L.A., which is now ballooned, and the other one, which is the relocation fee that's $370 million. So what about just the money? Yeah,
I mean, that would be right. Would be awesome, right? But there's going to be some way they can figure out to finagle out of paying it. You know, it's a big shell game, for lack of a better way to say it. You know, in life, right? We're all okay. Not to quote Adam Smith, 1776, but
he breaks
we're
up
all
the Adam Smith
individual actors, right? And so, Wealth of Nations says that we are all going to act on our own economic best interest. And so, if you are the Cincinnati Bengals, why would you not vote for teams relocating because you're getting a check out of it? And that's just
I got to ask you a side.
You know, and it's something I didn't really foresee, and I'm just maybe it's my naivete that you know, I didn't realize there would be teams that, you know, basically everyone's like, screw, you know, City of Oakland, they don't care, they just want that check. And you know, the fact that Miami voted to keep the Raiders, the only team, you know, you know, now we're all, you know, that's my second favorite team, but you know, he was very definitely self-interested as well, right? Because you know, now that, you know, if you're in Green Bay, you're in, you know, Cleveland, or you're in Buffalo, and you want to go to you're a fan of those teams, and you want to go to an away game, traditionally you would go to Miami because it's nice and warm, you know, in November and December, but now you're going to go to Vegas because it's Vegas. So, you know, he was looking out for his own interests, albeit, you know, we respected that. So it's a very frustrating situation. We got 3 more years with the Raiders here, and, you know, I mean, definitely, if we can get an expansion team, it'd be great. I just don't see them giving us an expansion team. So,
and I have to agree with you because I know that the Jaguars are in the midst of establishing something called the Jacksonville, where the Jaguars play. That happened today, Monday. It's a little breaking news for you on Zenny 62.
Wow. Yeah. Zenny, wow.
Hey.
So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Not to show my ignorance, but
everyone on Twitter asked that. That's why I'm cracking up.
Zenny, you are on the cutting edge of all this developments. The rest of us is following along, brother. Who is TIAA? What is TIAA? What do they have?
TIAA is
like a travel agency or something?
No. Actually, it's a financial company. It's like a bank, and TIAA stands for It's Typer. Advice. You know, I don't know what TIAA stands for. I have
hey, you know, God bless them. They're, you know, supporting a football team, and
all I know,
they're keeping the Jags in Jacksonville.
All I know is that TIAA has a CEO, Robert Ferguson, and Robert W. Ferguson Jr. is a person that I advocated and begged President Obama to make the head of the Federal Reserve, and he would have been the first black head of the Feds. Didn't happen, but he's been TIAA CEO for a long time now. They pulled in $3.7 billion in revenue in 2016 alone. So
Wow.
no small potatoes.
That's your paycheck, right? So that's right in line with you.
You know, I like the way you think, Chris. Thank you. I'm glad you see me commanding that kind of check. Thank you very, very much. That's quite nice.
I wish. We all wish.
Oh, hey, you know, if I command that kind of check, I'm bringing you along with me, my friends.
Well, I'm accepting it. So,
but according to Jacksonville.com, TIAA Bank Field is what it's going to be called, and right now it's called Everbank, but now it's TIAA, and so they didn't disclose how much money was paid or will be paid, you know, over a period of years for it, but they're a lot further along. I haven't heard anything about the Raiders naming rights agreement. Have you? Or any?
No, not in Vegas, but I know currently the Joint Powers Authority is looking to.
Right.
Looking to have the naming rights for the Oakland County Coliseum. You know, and again, this is the last stadium in the country with a football team and a baseball team. So you're actually getting double bang for your buck. They haven't been able to get that someone's going to pay enough to put their name on it. So I know on our end we're looking to have somebody to do that naming rights. So
what is in your estimation, what do you think the stumbling block is to this point?
We want more. You look at some of these big cities that have garnered $100 million in sponsorship money for the naming rights. What was it, McAfee Coliseum, or what was our most recent one was.
O.co. Yeah.
That was like $1.5 million a year. I mean, that's nothing, right? To have both, So I think that's what it is. I think we would rather just be, hey, Oakland Alameda County Coliseum, kind of a generic, traditional, as opposed to, not getting enough money for this. So I think that's where we're at.
Hey, what about? Here's an idea I want to pitch to you. What about having a dual naming rights program? And this goes back to when I tried to bring the Super Bowl to Oakland. I had an idea of naming the field separate from the stadium. So it would be corporate ABC Field at corporate XYZ Stadium, Coliseum Stadium.
I mean, look what Cal, you and I are both Cal, Bear alumni. They do it there.
Yeah.
Right? They have some kind of guy, the gentleman that wasn't a football player that's, they put his name on the field and they have the, Memorial Stadium.
Yeah.
The A's, renamed their field Rick Henderson Field, which is awesome for all his A's fans, but he's not bringing any money on that.
No, not at all.
So that'd be totally, to get, Costco Field and, I don't know, name some other entity for, Cisco Stadium, right? I mean, I think none of us would argue that would be, ideal in terms of bringing in revenue. But
by the way, Chris, here's some information for you and the brethren. TIAA stands for Teachers Insurance and Annuity Association of America, Gesundheit. So there you are.
So you throw teachers, right? So teachers, right? I mean, you can't. Teachers and firemen, right, are the two most. What do you call it? Jobs that everyone loves. So you put teachers in there.
Yeah. TIAA, Teachers Insurance and Annuity Association of America. That's the firm name. TIAA Bank Stadium.
Right.
Not
no,
bad.
that's okay. Well, there you go. I can't say anything.
As John Marks informed us,
you put teachers in that name, and who's going to argue with that?
Now, John Marks says, why is the JPA cutting a deal with the Raiders? Hasn't Mark Davis done enough damage to the city of Oakland and the Raider Nation fan base? Question mark.
That's the fact. John always has great questions. So your friend, oh my God, what am I? Did you totally blank on his name right now as I'm talking on the radio? But
which one?
Show. Oh my God, who's the guy that Andy Dolan?
Scott?
I'm sorry. Andy Dolan
Andy.
Your friend Andy Dolan says, hey, the Raiders should pay the balance of the money they owe on the Coliseum, on the Mount Davis. So $90 million. They should pay $90 million in rent for the next 3 years. I mean, they're not, going to pay that. The JPA is looking to. We haven't solidified a deal yet, but we're looking to get a deal which is going to give a little more money to the authority, and to keep them here. I know the Raiders have looked at San Diego for the next 2 years. I know they've looked at Santa Clara for the next 2 years, but they want to stay in Oakland and they want to make the transition, for lack of a better way to say it, as smooth as possible. I'd say screw them, send them on their way, let them play in, San Antonio or wherever, Portland or wherever they want to, whatever. But,
hey, so help me with this, as much as you can. How does the board split on this? I mean, what I mean by that, are there, of the board, of the brethren, who among them is the most strident, like get the Raiders out?
Right.
And which one is the one that's...
I'm not to cut you off, but that's a great question. I don't know if anybody has fully jumped in and said, "Oh, get out now." I know Larry Reed, obviously our vice chair, was very vocal about leaving, but everyone's just very upset. And so, at the end of the day, there's 2,000 jobs generated by each game, and we want to keep the team as long as we can here. I know Ignacio de la Fuente, my partner on here, has said, "Hey, maybe I'll accept a little less money. We want to make sure they stay." But I think the majority are just so bitter at the Raiders right now that all the, guys like me that have been, season ticket holders since '95, fans all my life, are just, hey, screw these guys. They're leaving. So we're trying to get some money for the authority. So I don't know. I mean, I know Scott McKibben, our executive director, is working hard on getting a deal. I know that we had a cutoff date of June 30th.
Right.
To have some kind of a deal in place. So we'll see. We'll have a meeting on June 15th. We'll see what happens.
What do you think is going to happen?
As in life, we'll come to an agreement, I'm sure. I don't know what the agreement is yet, but I'm sure they'll come to some kind of agreement.
I have a surprise for you. Wednesday night at 8:30, what time does the finals game start? It's Wednesday night, isn't it?
So it's 8:30 your time. It'd be, 9 o'clock Eastern time, 6 o'clock Pacific time. Right.
Okay, so at 11 o'clock, 11:30 my time.
That would be 8:30 our time, 8:30 Pacific time.
Yeah. I'm going to have on Rich Villada from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. He's going to be my guest. Yeah, how about that? He agreed today.
The Vegas Golden Knights lost again tonight, so
they did.
Their dreams of getting a championship up front of the Raiders is not probably going to happen. But
wow, that's too bad. So they are one more game away from elimination? Is that
it? Yeah, 3-1 Washington. So yeah,
that's too bad. That's sad. I mean, I missed the game obviously by this. Did they go back to Vegas, or was it in the?
No, they're still in Washington.
Okay, so the next game,
Game 5 will be in Vegas. Yeah.
Oh, they'll win that one. I can't see them dropping a game in Vegas. They'll roar back. Win a game, and right now.
Then they go back to Washington. Huh? All right.
Oh, and then maybe they'll win a game there. Maybe they'll steal a game. But.
Yeah. No. It's we'll see. So you're rooting for those guys, huh? The Golden Knights.
I'll tell you why. Because of those 58 people who lost their lives on 1 October. And I can't, for the life of me, think that spiritually what happened to those folks inspired the Golden Knights. It just, I can't escape that idea.
Great point. That's a great point. I hadn't thought of that. That was, such a sad. I got a buddy, Skyline guy from us, like he's a DJ on the radio station out there in Vegas, and I was talking to him right after the tragedy. Just really sad, just really sad.
Eric Zeiser?
No, his name's John Bernard, or he goes by JB King. This is like his stage name, but he's on like 95.7 or not one of those, like it's like a hip hop station. He's a white guy, mid-40s.
You said Skyline class of
two older sisters.
What class? Skyline class of
class of 1990.
1990.
His dad was superintendent of a couple different school districts. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah. No, JB, and he has two older sisters, like 88 or 89 or something like that from Skyline. Yeah, but they, he moved out to Vegas, 20 years ago, and has done well in the radio industry. So
wow, planted the flag. Hey, we got some questions.
So I guess we could say it. Well, I'll say it. I guess diplomatically. He said, obviously personally he was against the Raiders moving, but his station would learn to benefit. So he said, don't throw my name out there. But
no, I mean I think where I'm at is, you and I have talked a lot about this, obviously. We had the great Oakland Sports Forum. Remember that? That was a lot of fun.
That was fantastic. Yeah, no, that was good stuff.
Yeah,
that was really good stuff.
For those of you who don't know, Chris and I put together an event at the Lakeshore Baptist Church, 2014.
Really, man, that was. We had all candidates for mayor were out there, and you did a great job, man. That was, and it was the night that the Giants won the World Series in 2014, and so all of us A's fans were like, we didn't want them to win, but they won. It was kind of exciting, but we had a really packed house, and it was great, man. It was, it was the only thing talking to the mayoral candidates about sports in Oakland, and so
Yeah,
there you go.
I'm wondering if we should do something like that again, or could. I mean, what do you? We have 10 candidates. We should hash that one out and see if there's a possibility.
Yeah, talk offline. I'm sure we could easily do that again. Yeah. The mayoral race will be in this November. Mm-hmm. Obviously, election tomorrow in California for state offices. The primaries. But I think we can talk offline about maybe we could definitely do that again. Yeah. I mean, there's interest in it. I think the A's are looking to solidify their position as the only professional sports team in the East Bay, and they would definitely be interested in something like that. And Raiders and Warriors are gone, but we're still we're not a desolate landscape. I mean, there's other options.
No, we're not.
We looked at the authority. We looked at having a WNBA team, which I could see that happening now.
Hey.
But the initial analysis was that we would lose $50,000 a game.
What?
For each game, right?
Really?
And there would I don't know how to say it diplomatically on your show, but
yeah,
Oakland has a lot of population that would probably support a WNBA team.
Oh, definitely.
But even then, our analysis said that we would lose money for every game. So I don't know if that's.
Can I get a copy of that? Do you have that you can share?
It nothing was in writing. It was all just. It was a previous administrator before Scott McKibben, so maybe he was biased against it. But we'll talk offline.
Yeah, you got it definitely because I'm curious how they would treat the matter of merchandise sales if there were an expansion team in such a way that Oakland got a cut. I think that, you know what I mean? But hey, there's some more questions. Malcontent asks, Chris, have you spoken to anyone in the offices of the Oakland City Attorney or Alameda County Council about pursuing a lawsuit?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So and I'm not a what do you call it? Well, an attorney, obviously, but I'm not an attorney that does antitrust litigation, right?
Mm-hmm,
and
right.
So my understanding, in order to sue the NFL, you would have to have standing to do so. So in order to standing, you can't be just a fan like all of us that have season tickets that would lose out on losing a team.
Right.
But you have to be one of the political public entities to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So we put that forward to the city, the Joint Powers Authority to sue on behalf, because that would be the obvious person to do so. But the Joint Powers Authority didn't have the votes to go forward. The county members, myself included, who represents the county, voted for having a lawsuit. The city members, for whatever reason, voted against it.
Wow.
So my understanding now is the city itself is trying to pursue this, but they haven't jumped on board. And you'd have more information than I would about that. So while we would all want to sue the Raiders, the city and county council has not been jumping up and down for whatever reason. I don't really know the intricacies of why not, but you can explain that better. But yeah.
Without giving away names, I had some conversations with some people that made me very uncomfortable because I felt that the person I talked to was predisposed not to suggest moving forward with a suit, but the reasons they gave were very extremely questionable. And I brought up Richard Winnie as a mentor, who's my mentor, but as a person who they should follow, the persons I was talking to, because he, along with Dick Spees, he spearheaded suing the Raiders on the basis of eminent domain. And that didn't fly because the whole Commerce Clause issue. In other words, at the time, you may remember, the Raiders were going to move to L.A., and the argument was that then L.A. was a better market economically than the Bay Area. But today, it's flipped. It's entirely different, right? And you can't make an argument that Vegas is better either. So what I find is, and this is why I really relaxed my tone, is Chris, it's very difficult to push people to do something if I have the feeling that they don't want to do it and they are not very good at what they do. And that's just how I feel. I feel that Oakland is really bereft of economic development talent and legal talent, And if I'm wrong, the only way I would be wrong, right, is if they did something.
Yeah.
But they don't do anything. So
I'm with you.
they want to sue people all the time that are for these environmental reasons, because you have council members who think that they're scientific experts, and they get money from, in some cases, Tom Steyer allegedly. So so it's kind of like and as I said to someone the other day who was a politician, I said in Oakland, I said, our job should be replacing jobs that are lost, not suing our friends. And unless, of course, our friends deserve to be sued, like the Raiders. But
well said.
We got some more questions for you.
On it.
Oh, we got a list here, but I was running my mouth, so I had to look down and stop running my mouth here. Barry Lee asks, do you have a plan for the arena in its future?
Man, fantastic! Another fantastic question. So, currently the Warriors owe. Well, let's see this. Back it up. There's $40 million owed on the Oracle Arena, and our analysis is that the Warriors are on the hook for a good percentage of that. The Warriors' analysis is that once they leave, they don't owe anything on it. So I know we're taking them to arbitration in August to sort this out in court. So I'm sure there'll be some kind of agreement made, and they'll probably pay half or something like that. So what's going to happen after that? We've had bids from Tesla to buy the whole land, which they would want to just knock everything down and put all Tesla stuff there. I don't. None of us want that.
Like a plant?
Like full on everything, a plant, everything like that. Right. None of us want that, but that's an option out there. So your question is, what would be done with the arena? My take is that Warriors going to leave after next year. A lot of the A concerts are going to go to, the vast majority of other concerts will be, they're still going to keep it as a functioning arena. I mean, it was redone in '97. It's not, it's a great facility. If you've been to any of the finals games, you've seen they're still building on the outside. They're fixing things. I can't see them just tear it down.
No. Just
because the Warriors aren't there. So, AEG, I'll say this. AEG is the management group that runs the arena. And they always said that, their arena in Kansas City, which doesn't have a professional team in there, makes the most money for their company. So,
wow.
Again, here we have the competition from San Jose, with the competition for the new stadium in San Francisco, but I can see us still be viable as an arena, and just have a third option for events. So, it's gonna be frustrating because we're not gonna have the Warriors. We're not gonna have maybe the A+ concerts, but we'll still get a good share. Cameo, Summer Jam, that kind of stuff.
Hey, what about esports?
What
about esports? Esports is.
I mean, that's amazing because I'm not a video game guy, but how I went to an Intel sponsors some concert, some group, and that was packed.
Yeah.
The Warriors have hired they're subsidized or they're sponsoring, not subsidized, sponsoring, a video game group, and it's I guess I'm not a millennial, so the millennials will say, hey, that's venue, but yeah, maybe. Sure.
No, it's huge. That's huge
money.
And,
there's no more circus, right? You and I grew up saying there was a circus. Circus is no more. They can be supplanted by, video game playing, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not a millennial, but I dated one recently. I could say that.
Good for you, man. Good for you. Gosh, good for you. My wife's not a millennial, but yeah, she's a custom millennial, but yeah, yeah.
Hey, got another question for
nice
you.
Work. Nice work.
It says with the JPA. This is from Barry Lee. I think there was one more before this one. This is from John Marks. John Marks asks,
hey, John.
First of all, John says, have you seen the Coliseum reboot design that I came up with? He said, you guys should check it out. Have you seen it? You've seen it, right? Yeah.
I've seen a few of them. I'm not sure if I've seen his.
No, mine. Yeah, he's talking about mine. He's talking about the one that
I'm sorry, say again?
He's talking about mine, the one.
Yeah, I've seen yours.
Yeah, I thought you did.
Yours.
Yeah.
The big hotel, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But I'm not making those calls, but yeah, it sounds good.
Oh, no, he just asked. I was reading off the questions. Then he asks, how does Chris Dobbins feel about a possible NHL team coming to Oakland?
That would be a fantastic option. When the Sharks came in '91, Oakland was right there to get them, and they just basically gave them to San Jose because they felt Oakland had too much going on, and San Jose would support them better. Of course, we had the very first event in Oracle Arena, and it wasn't called Oracle at the time, but it was the Coliseum was was this Oakland Seals.
Yeah.
And the Oakland Seals, for all you fans out there, then merged with the Cleveland Barons, and they moved to Minnesota to become the North Stars, and now they're the Dallas Stars. So the Dallas Stars are, the original or whatever I'm trying to say. But the original team was the Oakland Seals. So the Oakland Seals were never good, but we had a hockey team for a little bit. And it was owned by Charlie Finley.
Yeah.
Same guy that owned the Oakland A's, had the same green and gold type colors, and we just never won. So, yeah, no, of course, we can get anything in there. I'm a fan of.
And then Barry Lee asks, would the JPA be open to having a team from the new American Football Alliance play at the Coliseum, or would there be a scheduling conflict with the A's? I think that's a great question, actually.
That is a great question, and I think a lot of us are open to whatever. I know in our agreement with the Raiders, we're giving them till June 30th to make a deal, because then we can open up to, soccer matches. And, we had one concert last year, Green Day, but, traditionally, again, you and I that grew up in Oakland, we saw those Day on the Greens.
That's right.
They had these big rock concerts, so we have the facility there. I mean, people think it's terrible, but it's not. It's a great place. And if we could get the new, Vince McMahon's new football team or football, whatever. I mean, again, we all remember when the Raiders left. We talked about Trump earlier. Remember when the Raiders left, we had the USFL for 3 years, and Trump had his team in New Jersey. Was it New Jersey Generals, whatever it was? But again, I'll say this. We've been asked by the Oakland Athletic League to have high school games. We're not jumping up and down to do that, but, if you get professional stuff in there, we're definitely open to that.
Okay, and so we have another question yet, and he asks, let's see, Malcolmton says, Chris, don't forget that Mark Hall has already secured rights to bring a USL pro soccer team to Oakland. He wants to
that's great, and I've heard and I haven't met him personally. I know people that know him and know he's really genuine about all this. I just think they're looking at that land, and they're saying, hey, if it's not going to be a major sport professional team, they're going to either, again, sell it to Tesla. I don't know if they want to open that land to soccer stadiums or soccer fields.
You know what bothers me?
Not that it's right or wrong. That's the kind of feeling I've gotten back from the JPA is people are like, that's nice. Hey, it'd be great. The earthquakes aren't coming, so MLS is not coming here. The MLS, the earthquakes own kind of the rights to the Bay Area, so we're going to get a minor league hockey team, and well, it'd be great. This is prime real estate, and so.
Hey, let me ask you, why don't we see sports as an industry in Oakland, unlike Atlanta? Because here, there's a sports business infrastructure such that people can communicate how much money, $5 billion, the state of Georgia makes off sports. I don't see that kind of mentality in Oakland, let alone the Bay Area. Why, in your opinion?
Zanny, I mean, as you know and I know, man, we're in the unique area. I mean, not as much as you have, but I've spent some time in Atlanta. The fact that they built a new stadium for the Braves in '96 Olympics, and then have moved out to Cobb County, which was another political issue because you have the white and black issue. I mean, the fact they've opened a new stadium, it looks nice on TV, right? I haven't been out there to the new stadium, but it's only been 20 years, right? And then you have the Georgia Dome, right? Didn't they build a new stadium?
Yeah.
I mean, is it open yet, or is it going to open next year?
Just went through its first year.
And both those facilities are way newer than Oakland.
Hey, buddy, the Super Bowl is here. The Super Bowl is here.
Right, but when did the new Falcon Stadium open? Was that this year or last year?
Last year.
Yeah. Okay. So that stadium was newer than the Oakland Coliseum. The Braves Stadium is way newer than the Oakland Coliseum, and yet and I know they're fixing up the Phillips Arena, right? And the Phillips Arena is newer, and it's and again, people knock on Atlanta because there's a bunch of transplants, a lot of kids from California moved out there, a lot of New Yorkers and stuff. Excuse me, but it's not still. I mean, that state respects professional sports, and they're moving it. And in California, this is so. You and I have said multiple times, right? The big, the last mayoral election. I know you're going to have your take on that. It was, skewed, questions, and I agree with you. But professional sports is so far down people's radar here there's very few people like us that are into it, on this part of the world. So
why do you think? Why do you think it is that, being a fan aside, we don't, as a collective, see sports as an economic development opportunity? And I ask that because among the job data parts that were released after the last announcement that our unemployment rate's at an ungodly low 3.8%. Who'd have thunk it?
Right.
But out of that came sports employment. Sports jobs are on the rise. People in sports are hiring, and yet we're trying to get rid of sports organizations. I'm thinking, I meant to ask
I don't think people realize the importance of it. I mean, that's my take. Mm-hmm. And people, again, when you go to the city council meeting, and again, these are important issues, right? So, economic development or, housing are major issues, and they're controlling the conversation. And you don't have enough guys like us that, hey, well, we know that, affordable housing is important. We know that jobs are important, but, this is something that, the city could do and not an ongoing thing, could just build a new stadium. And that, I mean, it's not, you just don't, the political will isn't there. I mean, that's ultimately, that's kind of my take is that.
I agree with you. Yeah. Hey, how are we doing on time?
It's just not that for our part of the world, it's just not important to people. And they just look at it as, well, the rich guys are, playing sports and, there's more important things to worry about. I don't necessarily, I don't agree with it, but I can see if I'm not a sports fan, I don't want to spend my money on, for guys like Mark Davis
I guess that's what bothers me, though. If I mention Kaiser or if I mention Schnitzer Steel or if I mention anything else, there's no personal opinion attached to it about how we feel about the corporate owner, right?
Right, so, right. Unless you had that fire yesterday, but you're right.
Yeah, and so my point is, it really bothers me that we don't have a professional attitude. Let me be more blunt: a professional economic development attitude,
right,
with respect to sports that we do other industries. And by the way, on that note, John Mark says that Chris Dobbins, the California Golden Seals, moved to Cleveland and became the Barons, and then merged with the Minnesota North Stars years later. And then Kevin KD says, no disrespect to soccer, the NAFA, if I'm reading that correctly, and
Stompers,
soccer.
Right, Oakland Stompers. Yeah,
Oakland Stompers. He says, and the Invaders, boy, he says, but none of them will ever make up for the loss of the Raiders. Well, yeah, I agree with that.
I agree with both those statements, and NASL fell apart, and so that's where the Stompers went, and MLS, I mean, is the reincarnation, and San Jose got the team. They built the stadium. Dave Cavill, the A's president, he helped build the stadium, and again, it's the same Bay Area, but he's had a heck of a time trying to get the stadium in Oakland built, and he seemingly got there wasn't much of an issue in San Jose. So
which brings me
as much we were all fighting the A's going to San Jose, but it looks like they would have gotten the job done down there, and we're in Oakland. It's
foot dragging. Hey, where are we with respect to the A's at the Coliseum versus Howard Terminal? In your estimation, given the news about the fire at Schnitzer Steel, which is basically right next door to the property.
Yeah, just Steel. What I tell folks is hey, we have a lease at the Coliseum through 2024, so there isn't a huge sense of urgency to make something happen. And as we've talked before on the show, and you and I've talked offline, I just don't believe the A's did the groundwork to go to Lady College that should have been done politically, financially, whatever. So we're really stuck with the Coliseum and the Howard Terminal site, again, next door, which, depending who you talk to, that steel company has the rights to or not, whatever. There's going to be a lot of cleanup, whatever. I mean, to me, it seems obvious that the Coliseum would be the best thing. Let me say this, right? So in early April of last month, or 2 months ago, whatever, I went to the A's-Dodgers game in Dodger Stadium, and everybody loves Dodger Stadium because it's so clean and all that good stuff in Chavez Ravine. And, to get from the 10 freeway to the entrance to Chavez Ravine took about 45 minutes, and it's about literally stone's throw. I mean, it was a disaster trying to get in there. They don't have public transportation. It was just, anyway. So the fact that we're not jumping up and down on just taking the Coliseum. I was at the Warrior game last night, and I left within 10 minutes, and it was a packed house. I was out of that place in 10 minutes. And, you don't have a better site in California, let alone wherever else, that you have, Amtrak,
right.
BART, airport, right up the freeway. I mean, they just don't, again, would it be sexier to have on the waterfront? You compete with, AT&T Park, of course, but it's already zoned for a stadium. I mean, they've got the land. It's, you're not doing a whole bunch of stuff.
I really think we need to build.
It's obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's obvious. Why don't you build it? And I get the A's saying, well, it's not a destination. You're not going to get your Walnut Creek money to come to the Oakland, Coliseum because it's East Oakland. But you look at other cities like people forget that the Inner Harbor in Baltimore was a war zone right before they put the stadium downtown. I mean, Coors Field in Chicago. In Denver was a quote unquote bad part of town, and they made it, and now it's a happy spot. I mean, AT&T Park. If you remember South of Market, that was no picnic in the park. I mean, they really dealt that area.
Oh no, that
was build it in Oakland, and you talk to my friend Zenny Abraham. You put his plan into place, put the hotel there. You're going to make it a happening spot. I just don't see what people are thinking about this. It's ridiculous.
No, I completely agree with you, and I'm missing some comments here real quick. Hey, how you doing on time? Because this is really great. This is one of our better shows.
Yeah, I got a few more minutes. My wife's about to walk in, and she's about to bring my neck. So
okay, cool.
I got a couple more minutes up, but this is enjoyable. Yes.
Why don't we say because it's 12:15? Can you go until 9:30 your time?
Yeah, sure. That'd be great.
Okay, cool.
That'd be honored.
All right, cool.
Thanks.
All right. So Kevin KD asked, though the Sharks have exclusive rights to the Bay Area market. In other words, can we get another team in there? I don't know the answer to that question. Has anyone explored that?
I don't know either. I'll throw this out there, right? So the Milwaukee Bucks, up until recently, had a tenuous relationship staying there, and there were many advocates saying, okay, the Warriors are going to San Francisco, screw them, let's get the Milwaukee Bucks here. And I know the Warriors obviously would fight it, the Kings would fight it, but there was still a sense of, hey, getting them in there. I don't think you're as tenuous in terms of the NHL because, I mean, it's 7.5 million people here. I mean, you look at some of these cities in Canada, and again, Canada's way more into hockey than we are. Winnipeg. I know there was talk at one point of moving the St. Louis Blues to Saskatchewan, and there was, Saskatchewan's the size of Oakland, right? This is the whole province, but they figured people were going to support as much. There's talk of expanding the NHL. I don't, it's just debatable whether they would, move in and whether they want to fight the Sharks for the territory. So I don't know. I think they could do it if you had a rich owner come in there, and there's a lot of rich guys in the Bay Area that could move in a team. But I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Rich Gal's too. Steve Jobs' widow is a part owner of the Washington Capitals. The Washington Nationals. Excuse me. Yeah.
Wow.
She's worth $14 billion, Lauren. So.
$14 billion. Wow.
14.
Can you imagine being worth $14 billion?
Actually,
That's amazing.
I can imagine that.
Well, who's this is, again, we don't want to, we'll swap through to your type, you can talk about it, but who's that porn star that's a big Washington Capitals fan? She's like the Arabic, and I'm Arabic, so I'm going to talk about her.
Oh.
I forget her name, but she's like some big, internet sensation. She's a huge Capital.
I have to look that one up, man. Out that I don't know, and I feel less than American for not knowing.
Mia Khalifa, I just looked her up. Mia Khalifa. She's a huge Washington sports fan, and anyway, I'm gonna check her Twitter out. Yeah, she's it's a different perspective on
you do realize, Chris,
stuff works, but
you do realize you announced the road. You're looking up a porn star.
I just remembered. I'm not looking at porn on your show, but
minutes.
I'm a professional like all of us. We're all,
but I have to point this out. Just minutes before.
But I can remember her name. Mia Khalifa. She's a former porn star. Let me say that. But she's a big Capitals fan and a big Capitals apologist. And anyway.
I have to point just minutes before your wife walks in the door.
Right, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see.
But her story's unique in that she's a Muslim woman, and she's from Lebanon, and she's, anyway, it's a lot of issues with gender equality in that part of the world. We're Christians, so we're not necessarily dealing with those kind of issues, but it's hey man, this is today on the Supreme Court, voted to. In Denver, right? They supported the person who did not want to make a cake for a gay couple.
Yeah, Yeah, what an
and
idiot.
you know, it's something to talk about. And there's a number of other cases like that down the pipeline the Supreme Court's looking at. So, you know, this is the 2018 world, and you know, I mean, you got Harvey Weinstein, who's made millions and millions of dollars, and now he's being charged with rape and some other stuff. So there's a lot of, you know, our world is, you know,
and we got
progressive.
And then we have Barbecue Becky, right? I mean,
yeah, that's right.
Jeez Louise. Did you
that
see?
Is, but I mean, when she makes it to Saturday Night Live, which she did.
But not only
and
that,
for those of your readers don't know that she, you know, is a white lady that went to Stanford, right? She wasn't some idiot.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you and I are Cal guys, so yeah, she's an idiot. But you know, she's out there.
Stanford doesn't want to claim her.
I mean, from what I understand, technically she may have been correct.
No.
But her, you know, that these guys were barbecuing with charcoal, and that part of Lake Mary's used charcoal, whatever. But you know, yeah, she didn't make any friends that day in Oakland.
No, but the whole point is that
Barbecue Becky. There you go.
The whole point is that she wasn't correct. And the reason why she wasn't correct is this: I'm really tired of this tattletale society. You and I, okay? You and I are roughly the same era where we thought you were a ridiculous punk if you were walking around. People would say this, you know, oh, you're a tattletale. Ooh, I'm telling.
Sure.
And now you have these so-called adults who've taken this behavior to life-threatening levels where they call the police for nothing. Ooh, I'm telling.
Right.
You used,
you
know?
And she called 911. She didn't call the off, you know.
Right.
Now, the non-emergency number, she called 911, which is what everybody was jumping up and down about.
And what bothers me...
You know, and you know, to the... Hey, is a white lady calling on two black guys? And I guess one of the guys had, his wife was white, and so she's the one that was fighting back.
And here's the thing, though, what bothers me, but what bothers me about that, but Chris, what bothers me about the whole thing, I mean, really, to a point where it just drives me crazy, is that you know, and I know, that if her friends were barbecuing and doing that, she wouldn't call the police on them.
Right.
Okay?
Right. If I'm barbecuing, she's not calling on me. But not only that,
but my point is, even if it's a color issue, if she's not going to do it to her friends, why do it to anybody else? But then here's the other point.
Well, that's right.
Here's the other point.
And that's where she opens herself up, and that's where she looks like a real idiot.
Right.
You know, again, Oakland, one of the most progressive cities in the world.
But my point is that no one.
Over here.
Where do we get to the point where we say, hey, look, you have to act like an adult. So what? They're using that charcoal. Okay, it's a bad thing. So what? Leave them alone. All right. Instead, we're normal. There are people who want to normalize her behavior. And I'm thinking, do you have anything better in your life going on? And not only that, remember the police. Think about this, Chris. The police are going to have her evaluated for a 5150.
Right.
Okay? In other words, 5150 means you're nuts. Because she's, you know, and the people
you're going to John, in Oakland, you're going to John George.
And the people, and the people who say, think about this, Chris. The people who say that technically she was right, I'm saying, wait a minute, are you a 5152? You got nothing going on in your life to the point where you have to, like, have a massive anxiety about somebody barbecuing? You've got to be crazy.
Well, I mean, you drive down the streets of Oakland, and I drove. I went from, I was at Rockin' Crawfish, which is at Lake Merritt. I went to my buddy's house on 82nd. I had to get some papers, right? So I drove down East 14th right before we were on TV today, or on your show tonight, and just seeing all the homeless folks, they're again in Oakland for stuff that's great, particularly side streets. These streets are horrible. There's all these potholes. It's just, you know, quality of life stuff. And it's just, there's a whole bunch of other issues in our city that having some guys hanging out on a weekend barbecuing. And it's just, you know, call about that. You know, these people dumping, like, you know, you go on some of these, Fontaine, I drive down Fontaine, which is, you know, off of King Estates, and it's a real nice kind of view, but it's right into the 82nd area. And there's always a bunch of guys dropping off, like, couches and just junk, right? Call about that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that's, like, really infuriates Oakland people, that people, you know, tearing up our city. But, yeah, I mean, barbecuing that, come on, man. Then just, you know, her caricature is just funny because...
it's ridiculous. You know. Something else I got to get off my chest. Malcolmton says, the economic development argument should be more about middle-class job creators, not just pro sports owner and athlete income. Here's why I think you're wrong, Malcontent, and here's why, all right? The average income in sports stadiums is $68,000. It's not low income. And
wow.
Yeah, but Chris.
But I mean, wait, not to cut you off, Zinni, but isn't he talking about like the ushers and things like that are making $12 an hour or whatever? That
yeah, but
are
my
working
point is that
game
people.
days? I mean,
Here's
that's
my point.
that's the argument I get. Let's push back again.
But my point
when
is
I say,
that
hey, the Raider game will have 2,000 jobs, they'll be like, well, but my point, 19 of those jobs are all the guys taking tickets and ushers that are making $12 an hour.
But actually, well, here's the one thing that everybody forgets, though. Okay, it's not just that. It's also people who drive, who have their own companies. It's people who have their own businesses that do business with the Coliseum, like Dorothy King, for example, and others. All right, it's not just them.
Sure.
But my point is that, and what bothers me is we're so used to not thinking about sports from a professional economic development level that we cherry pick to fit a stereotype, right? Oh, it's the usher that makes this. Oh, it's the ticket taker that makes that. When it's actually a much larger group. Police that have to go down there, security people that have to go down there, security detail. Tons of people around there. And there's a lot of money to be made. If you have your own small business, what better place to make it than, hey, look, we do it for the Super Bowls, right? We place people.
Yeah.
Why don't we do it for the Coliseum when we have a great standard vendor program? We need to beef that up, by the way, and we have it.
Right, no, we can definitely do that. But, the amount of police officers that were on overtime yesterday, they were making more money than a lot of us probably on this phone call right now. See them standing around, getting that extra double check. I'm with you on that.
Hey.
I'm with you on that. But you're right. A lot of local vendors are doing business, and they're not trying to gouge these teams, but they're just trying to make a living, and at the same time they're providing a service, valuable service for the community. And
don't forget,
who's going to argue that?
And don't forget the artists who make the posters and the graphic artists who need work.
Yeah,
tons of that comes out of that. All right, so when you stop and think about it, the stuff that we take for granted, basketballs that have to be provided, posters, hats.
All the food, all the olive shirts. I mean, they're giving those yellow shirts away and all this other stuff.
The gas station where you take your car, you have to put gas in your car and everything. The electric fuel station that we should have in the future. All that spells,
that's the next move. Yeah,
that spells jobs, and so we're out to lunch. And what bothers me is we're so politicized with economic development today that we've forgotten how to do economic development. It sucks, man. It drives me crazy. It is
well, that's why we need to get you in charge again, Zenny. You did this all stuff before, and you know how to do.
Talk to Libby, man.
So I'm voting for Zenny in 2020.
Hey, talk to Libby. Tell her to plug me in as economic development right now.
Sister, man.
I know. She called me.
That's the question.
I love her. She called me the other night.
I really appreciate you having me on, man. It's always a true pleasure to discuss these issues with you, and we'll talk to you down the line. But I appreciate you having me on, man. Much appreciated.
Thanks for being on. And hey, if you can, let's see. Let me figure this out. When I start at 11:30, it's going to be 8:30 there, so it'll probably be while the game is playing.
Oh, Wednesday night. Yeah. Okay. It'll be. You said that's the game ends. It starts at 6, be in around 9. So
okay. So
I could jump in at 9 if you need. I mean, not that I have anything to add, but
actually, you know what? I would love for you to do it because I'll have Rich on from the Review Journal, and it'd be a great kind of. Three-way. It'll be a lot of fun, man.
Be a lot of fun. That sounds great.
You got it.
I'd be on it.
Rock on,
seriously on it, man. I'll talk about it tomorrow. Thanks all listeners. Always great questions, man. And sad everybody, and let's again, we're all sports fans, so we're excited about the Warriors, wrapping this up in a couple days, and more importantly, long term, getting the A's a new stadium, and the Raiders, something,
getting everything buttoned up.
A big earthquake, a big volcano to explode in Vegas and wipe the city out. So. No deaths, of course.
Oh but, no, I love Vegas, man. I love Oakland.
We just heard the news tonight about the big volcano in Guatemala that killed number of people. So that's really sad. All our Guatemalan friends out there, hearts and family. Prayers to them.
Oh, sad. No, I love Vegas, man. I love Vegas, and so in fact, you ever had steak at Ruth Chris there?
No, I have not. I have not had a steak at Ruth Chris.
Do they have now? They have Gordon Ramsay on the Strip. Las
Vegas.
It's And they have some. And some of your favorite.
No comment.
Right, and some of the favorite women you were talking about earlier also happen to be in Vegas.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that somewhere. That in Chatsworth in Southern California.
Hey, that's why Mark
That note.
That's why Mark Davis is. That's why Mark Davis. That's why Mark Davis is moving.
Maybe I'll talk to you Wednesday, but I'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, man.
Thanks to all your listeners. Thanks for having me on, and much appreciated, man.
Hey, I appreciate
you're my friend. Thank you.
You're my friend too, man. I'll see you. Okay. Hey, folks. Okay, see you. All right. Hey, folks. I'm gonna stick around, and that was Chris Dobbins, longtime friend, and Chris Dobbins and I go back all the way back to Choose or Lose the A's. That was 2006. And we got together a group, myself, Bob Lemon, and another guy that like picturing in my mind's eye, but the name just doesn't fly out. We all, I would say about 8 strong, got together. We have these videos that are up to this day on YouTube, Choose or Lose the A's, trying to save the A's in Oakland and all this, And I say all this because it's not ridiculous to do this, but it's sad that we're just this little group. And I say little, at best we're 30 people, 40, right? But still, it shouldn't take that. It shouldn't have taken that at all. But, well, it did. The A's survived. They're still here. John Mark says, thank you, Chris Dobbins, for your time. And Rick Gray, Kevin KD says to Rick Gray that the main point in all this, why wouldn't Oaklanders and East Bay residents travel to see the Raiders and the Warriors? Because of the cost. But, I think, well, the Warriors, that's nothing. Look, going to where they are on 3rd Street this is how easy it is, okay? You can get on BART downtown Oakland, 12th Street or 19th Street. Take that to, get off at Embarcadero, right? Embarcadero BART. Then get off Embarcadero BART. You don't have to leave the station, but you go up out of the BART station, then go over to Muni, then we want to take the in Judah is what it's called, the in Judah Muni. And you take the in Judah Muni to the Cal normally it would take you to Cal train station. Now it takes you to 3rd and King Street, and you can transfer there. And you transfer to another train that goes down 3rd Street. That train passes right by Chase Center, okay? It passes right by Chase Center, and that's where the Warriors play. It's that easy. It will be that easy to get to the Warriors game. It will not be hard at all. So, you won't feel a thing. I always considered, frankly speaking, San Francisco and Oakland, I call it the Inner Bay Area. The trouble is that we need the jobs, and Oakland has its own style. And to me, Oakland has sports as one of its wealth producers, if you will. The trouble is Oakland doesn't think of sports as one of its wealth producers. We have politicians who are irrationally in love with tech, and I think for reasons that they think also are going to benefit themselves. And I don't mean in the classic way of corruption, but I mean benefit themselves like, oh yeah, I know this person. Oh yeah, I know that person, right? And oh yeah, I know that person, okay? And they lose sight of the reality that other people don't have that kind of access, and they just need help in the form of a job that will allow them to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in America, right? So all that's lost. So we've got Kevin KD says, I watched First Take on Monday with Shader Moore, and after GM, and when he mentioned the Raiders, the whole crowd booed and cheered. Mark Davis will have to face the reality soon in Vegas. And Rick Gray says a $40,000 loan, then your current $300 ticket goes to $500 per ticket. Kevin KD says, but the Las Vegas Raiders, they will really feel it. And John Mark says, I hope they feel it hard. And Kevin KD says, but tech only benefits the rich. Yes, it can be made to benefit the poor. The trouble is, it's not made to benefit the poor, okay? Ms. Zeitgeist, how are you? Ms. Zeitgeist says, just seeing Mark Davis at the Knights games with a Knights jersey on alone is enough to make me root for the Caps to win the Stanley Cup. Is that what you saw tonight? Mark Davis? Ooh, let me go to Twitter and see if he was spotted by somebody. Twitter's become pretty good for the occasional Mark Davis watch, right? And let's see what we got here. Hey, Barry Lee, thank you for the tweet, by the way. I think... and we've got California primate tomorrow. I forgot to ask Chris who he's voting for. Oh, man. Didn't miss that one. Let me see here. We got, let's see, Mark Davis. Mark Davis. Let's see if that gets me anywhere. Mark Davis. Steve Sisolak getting ready to tip off MGM Grand. Okay, here is... This was on May 27th. Okay, this is with Sisolak right here, see? And Mark Davis, and that's Bill Hornbuckle right there. It's Bill Hornbuckle of MGM, Mark Davis, and, of course, Steve Sisolak. And that's getting ready for a tip-off with MGM Grand's Bill Hornbuckle and Raiders' Mark Davis there. And that's, yeah. Tip-off, he said. Tip-off? Tip-off? Yeah, Aces, WNBA. So Mark Davis is now embracing a WNBA team. Ooh. Could never catch him at, well, we don't have a WNBA team in Oakland. Wish we did. But he's going to the Knights games. Now he's at WNBA. And this is on Vital Vegas. Says, hearing MGM Resort CEO Jim Murren dropping big bucks on a new home in Summit area of Summerlin. Word 2 is Farida's owner of Station Casinos purchased 5 lots for a compound. Raiders owner Mark Davis is in it as well. Interesting. So Mark is enjoying the fruits of being a truly rich man. And here is the photo that you don't want to see. Well, this is Raiders. This is Mark Davis at the Aces game, all right? See that? Had a floor seat for tonight's inaugural Aces game. All right, and there he is there. Okay. Wonder who the blonde is. Too bad there's not another angle photo of that. Wonder if there is. Got to, because my other thought is that I'm wondering if it's the same woman that I met at Raider training camp last year. And so what do we have here? Someone else pointed what? Someone said I'm not gonna show that picture. And I don't see, the Raiders took a full page out of Saturday's and today's Review Journal. Wishing the Golden Knights luck before Game 1. Says just win, baby. And yeah, so there's a lot of Mark Davis taking in the Golden Knights games, forgetting the Warriors games. Although he took Drew Gruden to one. He took Gruden to one. So those are the top photos. Okay. And now I'm going to the latest. And let's see, it's the Golden Knights. You're all going to lose because this guy is a fan. Get ready for the Mark Davis. Someone has come up with the Mark Davis curse. Look at this, okay? Y'all gonna lose because this guy became a fan. Get ready for the Mark Davis curse. Okay? You can't make this stuff up, all right? You cannot make this stuff up. I'm going to ask Rich about that on Wednesday. See if that's true, the Mark Davis curse. And Steve Colfeld, he says, when 1:05 p.m. ET tweet, NFL owners laugh out loud. Appeasement is an utter failure. Donald J. Trump is never going to let it die. When will Lurie, Mark Davis, Jed York, Chris Johnson, Dave Tepper, and Meek Mill buddy Bob Kraft step up to defend themselves and the players? That's other one. And so there you have it. We have, boy, oh boy. Let's see here. Um, yeah, that's it for the Mark Davis pictures. I don't see anything else that's interesting, at least that way. Let me see if I happen to, if I can spot something the other way. I go to photos. Okay. What is this? We've got, all right, May 25th with Mark Davis, a Hall of Fame banquet helping former players in need. This is all these Mark Davis in Vegas photos, as it turns out, folks. Take a look at this, okay? Right here, all right? Look at this, all right? Okay, look at that. That's May 25th, helping players in need, all right? Then there's John Gruden and Mark Davis, and that was Mark Davis looks like microwave John Gruden. That's funny, okay? That was at the Warriors game. And this one is great to be with Raider Foundation and Mark Davis supporting my friend Ernie Stellick and Vegas Village Top Golf. I've been there, Top Golf, giving back to our veterans community. Top Golf is fun. Then, of course, you saw that photograph at the Aces game. And then it says, it's a big day, exciting to see again a public-private partnership that has just gone well so smoothly. Mark Davis, you have to give Sandoval and credit and all these guys, okay? Lady Tommy White, and they're excited about that. All right, fine. And so Raider Mark Davis confirms he abstained from anthem vote. Okay, that's all NFL-related stuff, owners meeting stuff. So there you go. All right. So there you are. Most of the pictures of Mark Davis are him celebrating life in Vegas. He never wanted to be in Oakland. So anyway, Mark Davis is, as I said, enjoying life in Vegas. He never wanted to be in Oakland. I think he's pretty much made that clear. That's sad, you know. I can't figure out which is sadder. Him not wanting to be in Oakland or Oakland not doing anything to really build a sports nexus that would be so cool with football, basketball, baseball, right? And then get an NHL expansion franchise and lobby the NHL to have 2 teams. You know what I mean? Good, great economic development stuff. Boy, Oakland used to be so fun like that. Now it's just expensive. Okay. John Mark says, I knew Mark Davis never wanted to be in Oakland thanks to that meeting at the Alameda practice headquarters with the Raiders Nation in 2014. Oh, wow. I mean, Napa, right? Pedro Gallardo says, are the A's still moving to College Park? No. Kevin KD says, but Tom Kohler, Vegas does not even like the Raiders. They like the 49ers and Cowboys, and the NHL crowd seems to think that Mark Davis is a joke. You know, someone told me something that, how did it go? It went like this. It was that Mark Davis, that the Raiders seem to have everybody angry with them. And the person who told me this is a Las Vegas in the know type, okay? So whatever they're doing in Vegas, as much as pictures may indicate otherwise, it's no picnic there either. It isn't. I'm going to stop this stream at 1 o'clock, folks, and it is it's 12:44, mainly because I got to take care of some matters for getting ready for tomorrow. And so John Mark says, no, Zinni, the meeting that brought the Raider Nation to go see Mark Davis during the season, which I think it was 2014 or 15. I thought, well, there are a lot of different meetings. Raider Nation to see Mark Davis during the season. I was thinking of training camp myself, but whatever. I was thinking of the training camp where he got in the Grizzlies grill and they had that disagreement. And Kevin KD says, and they have Sandoval and Adelson to thank for the horrible tax burden they have placed on them. So, of course, the Vegas people are mad at Mark Davis. Barry Lee says, have a good night. Hey, good night, Barry Lee. John Mark says, at the Alameda team headquarters. Okay. I'll have to go back through my annals and research that one, because maybe I've been so many meetings and so many gatherings, it's not funny. Maybe you're thinking about the town hall meeting, okay? Because that wasn't at Raider headquarters. That was at the Paramount Theater. I was there. There's videos on Zenny62 on YouTube. Kevin KD says, Ms. Zeitgeist, Mark Davis doesn't care. He just wants to live it up. He wants what happens to stay in Vegas times to last. Nothing more than that for the Raiders leaving the Bay. I do get that impression. Oh, by the way, for those of you who either didn't hear me say this before, or need a reminder, or just want to hear me say it again, Rick Vallata from the Las Vegas Review-Journal will be my guest Wednesday night at 8:30 Pacific. Okay? And so you heard Chris say that he would like to come on. You know, well, he'd love to have him on in the 9 o'clock hour. We could have a great three-way conversation, you know, and well, four-way with you all involved, or if you consider it from an individual basis, 5-way, 6-way, 7-way, mini-way, right? Mini-way. So I think that's quite exciting. Yeah, I really think that's quite exciting. Get, you know, him on, talk, and 2 calls and everything else, right? Yeah. And so Rick Gray says, why is Oracle thought of as an expansion site? Oracle is not suited for NHL hockey. 4,000 seats, enviable. Well, it can be. I don't know that it is not suited for that. I challenge you on that. It's an arena. Arenas can be refurbished. Look, Pepsi Center, arenas designed like that are made to be molded for concerts, political conventions. Why not hockey? And why not hockey? You say we need to add seats. It seats 18,000. I think we've got quite enough. It's about the size of T-Mobile, so I don't see what the issue would be there at all. And John Mark says, can you have a 4-way on Skype? Yeah, well, because I had, I know I can add calls, because I've done that before. I know I can add at least one more call. And I've had 3 people on many times. 4 including myself. So I've had that on a few times. I just haven't done it in a while, okay? But this is going to be good. So, Dean Willie says, a Vegas supporter tried saying the Raiders... What? I can't read this. A Vegas supporter tried saying Raiders, I do said Alameda County. That doesn't make any sense to me. As far as I don't know what you mean there. Rick Gray says, you're right. Arena can be used for hockey, but it's set up just like Barclays Arena in Brooklyn, where 4,000 of the 18,000 seats are unviewable for NHL hockey. But I don't know that that's actually true. Well, look, here's my point. Unviewability of seats can be fixed. I was in that situation in the NFL. We had to remove over 3,000 seats because they weren't viewable. We simply found other places to put those seats. That's why we're going to build a temporary third deck, okay? So that's not an unrepairable problem by any stretch of the imagination. Ms. Zeitgeist says, Mark did a cheesy ad blitz for the Vegas Stadium in San Diego. The team that spent 50 plus years rooting for the Raiders division rival Chargers. That's like the San Francisco Giants trying to sell tickets in LA. Jeez. Rick Gray says, after the 97 remodel, it was the seating was set up for baseball first, with hockey and ice shows secondary. So major remodel will be needed if it was suitable for NHL hockey. Well, that's fine. That's fine. I think we'd be willing to swing that, because that would just simply make the arena more economically viable. Another way to make money. Why not? So you invest a little to make a change to gain a lot, right? That's what you do. Tom Kohler says that can be a very interesting stream with Rick Valadas. Perhaps you can ask him about his relation to Adelson, as the Review Journal owns. Well, we made a pact that I'm not going to go there because he can't talk about the Adelson, and I know that I know that, so I'm not going to put him on the spot. I think that would be wrong to do. Okay. In fact, let me take the "I think" out of my sentence. That would be wrong to do. So that's not where we're going to go. I don't want him to come on here with and put him in a position where he's made to look bad before his boss. That's not what I'm even want to do. He's a nice guy. He's my friend. I don't want to do that. What I want is a discussion about how Vegas is changing and how that change can impact the Raiders positively and negatively, because Vegas is at a point where it's losing its exclusivity in the gambling industry, and yet it has this expertise. And so as gambling goes out, right, Vegas, in a sense, builds up. And there's this kind of crossing of lines. And the question is, how is that crossing of lines going to change the city? And how is it going to change demand to use the hotels, which impact the Raiders' financing? Okay? These are big, urban, life-changing questions that we're going to discuss. And then I want to talk with him about how he sees the Raiders project unfolding. And also, look, MSG Sphere in Las Vegas is under development now. That's going to be a game changer. I want you to come away feeling like you have a better sense of what's going on in Las Vegas from a person who really knows that you get it, from me, right? And so I can't think of anyone better to have on than Rick. I think it'd be quite exciting, all right? So, quite exciting. And so, Malcolmton says, Rick, the Oracle isn't constricted as Barclays. You might lose 1,000 to 2,000 seats. I saw Penguins exhibition game there almost 30 years ago before the renovation. Malcolmton says, Z, please ask Vallada about the general obligation backstop, the hotel tax revenue problems. So we'll talk about that, sure. Well, you are going to be here, right? Come on, It's going to be, I think, just after the finals. So, but I will definitely lay it out on the table, and we're going to have a great conversation about Vegas, all things Vegas and everything else. So Rick Gray says the current Oracle Arena is just like Phoenix area for the Suns and Barclays Center for the Nats. One end considered unviewable, and many seats in lower bowl, and one have to be unrestricted use. Bill Marks says we need to ask questions. Yeah, ask questions. And don't forget, it's more than the Raiders. Las Vegas has an exciting convention center expansion going on. There are a lot of casinos under development. There is the current reconstruction of my favorite hotel never built, the Fontainebleau, right? I mean, I love Vegas, okay? And I hope you do too. So that's, you can blame Mark Davis for pitting Vegas versus Oakland, which is a bad thing. But I'll never stop loving Vegas. I'll never stop loving Oakland. There you go. That's just it. Tom Kohler says, perhaps a stream with Deborah March would also be very good to hear the story about Henderson. Joseph Binsman says, how much blame do the other NFL owners in Goodell hold for the Raiders' potential move to Vegas to use any? Are your Raider fans just curious? How much blame? Well, they approved it. John Mark says, sorry, Z, but I hate Vegas. Well, that's you. Kevin KD says, John Marks, I second that feeling. Cowboy Wrestler says, I am honestly disappointed in the Warriors for giving up on the best home field advantage in the NBA at Oracle for a generic new arena in San Francisco. You know, what they're doing in San Francisco is exciting. I err on the side of being supportive of builders because that's what I went to school to. I went to school to be an urban planner, right? You can't plan and not build. You know, it just doesn't make any sense. Well, you can plan and not build. What I'm saying is you plan with the idea that something's going to get built. There you go. As Milano says, don't hate the city, hate the owner. I don't even hate the owner, but, you know, you can be mad at the owner. I don't hate him. I'm not happy with what he did at all. John Mark says, agreed, Milano. Kevin KD says, I saw the photos of Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and the walkway above the seats actually looks interesting. You know, I haven't visited the stadium yet. I'm really looking forward to it. Hey, it's 12:55, folks. Excuse me. I am gonna do the wax on, wax off, and say, hey, thank you all for coming. Harry Flores has a great point. He says that the Warriors will still be in the Bay Area, unlike the Raiders. Great point. Wax on, wax off, wax on, wax on, wax on, wax off. I'll see ya. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. As John Mark says, well, I don't like that slogan. I like the horror movie one. Watch horror films. Keep America strong. Rest in peace, Dwight Clark. Yeah, it is a sad, sad loss. Quite sad. And John Marks reminds us, watch horror films, keep America strong. And Cowboy Wrestler says, yes, indeed, rest in peace, Dwight Clark. Rest in peace. And I do think that's a fitting way to end this program. All right. Yeah, I will be on the air tomorrow, doing an election recap. Because by that time it would be 11:30 my time. And the polls in California were closed at 8, and so we'll have some idea of how the races are shaping up. So yeah, I want to do more of an election special, you know, and then we can resume our theme on Wednesday, with our exciting guests, you know. And John Mark says Dwight Clark should never be forgotten. Joseph Bin says the catch is one of the biggest plays in NFL history. And John Marks adds, it started the NFL dynasty. It did. Yes, it did. All right, everybody. Good night. Good night, everybody. Good night. See ya. See ya. See ya. Good night, everybody. See ya. See ya.